All right, so last time, if you guys watched it, we were looking at the Hunter. We were looking at a really cool summon build that he has. This time we're going to be looking at the Enchantress, specifically a debuff build. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can build a debuff Enchantress. She's got a lot of debuffs. We're going to go with one that I think is more or less like the most straightforward one, and that's to use Dominance. You could definitely run it with Sands of Fate or Radiance and still get a pretty good build. But so here's what we got. We have these little debuffs that usually they just cost 1, maybe sometimes no mana whatsoever. You put it on them, nothing happens except for this Dominance, which already did 1 point of damage. But you've got a lot of ways of taking and putting debuffs on and off of an enemy. And the cool thing about Dormant Curse is when you take it off, it deals 3 damage. So it's cheap to put on, but deals 3 damage when it comes off. So now we've got a couple ways we can kill this guy. We're just going to throw a couple aces at him, no big deal. Let's go for the group encounter and see if we can pull this off. So these are really low enemies. Obviously, I'm kind of easy moding here just so that we can focus on the mechanics and the build rather than really worrying too much about the enemies. So I've got a Curse Seeker here, which is an AoE for all of the enemies with debuffs. So I'm going to see if I can put... We have one more. We got a Dormant Curse. I'm going to have to break these kings. This is just for demonstration. I would normally do this, but let's do it. So there with Curse Seeker, we are going to deal 3 points of damage to every target that is debuffed. So this is just one of the things that she can do. She's got a lot of flexibility when it comes to how to deal with this. Now, I'm going to use Curse Seeker. This is the buff of choice for me in this particular build. It's not the only one. There's actually a few other ones. There's one really interesting one, the Ring of Jinn, that's going to add a lot of damage, but it just makes things cost more. Now, the Ring of Jinn works really well when it's paired with Ring of Clarity, which we're going to look at in a little bit. But for now, let's just go with this Curse Seeker. Again, I'm trying to keep this build a little bit simpler and I'll not have it sort of rely on some of the higher end kind of stuff. So one of the basic things, in case you're not familiar with Leilah, the Enchantress, is that she can manipulate the value and suits of cards. Not just your cards, but the cards of the enemy as well. So it's pretty easy for you to stay in the game with her. We're going to use Heart's Burden and an Eldritch Snap to heal up, deal that 3 points of damage, and move along. So now I could possibly amber one of these beetles, but I'm not too concerned with them, like I said. So right now, one of the problems that I have with the current hand that I have is that I have a lot of things that respond to debuffs just by, unfortunately, this is what I pulled, but nothing that is going to actually debuff the target. So I'm kind of stuck with what I've got. Now, what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to attack the beetle. And hopefully we can bring it home here in a sec. Yep. And we're going to go hit up this merchant. So that's a nice thing when you do run into this, and this Mechanothorax is a really good one for the Enchantress. You can just go and use up your abilities as currency and get yourself some really good loot. So that's the nice thing about the merchant. If ever you find yourself getting locked into too many cards here with no cards to use, you just hit up a merchant and it's good to go. And you get some really nice items out of it. So just so we're clear of what I got this really good axe for the Enchantress. It just makes all my pairs deal double combat damage. And and the trifoiled shield, which you may be used to already. I've had that on a previous run, and it's something that comes up early in the game. This lets you block with clubs so that you don't take damage. So here we go. Now we've got a good combo. All right. So we can do an Eldritch Snap. And let us not forget that we can still attack. There's nothing holding us back from just throwing an attack. Ooh, this time he drew 2 kings on my jack. So we're all right still, but we took some damage there. Now I could Grand Illusion this and possibly start dealing with these aces, but still not too concerned. She's got a lot of ways of coming back. And here's one of them. So there's 2 health. We're going to go through the ability shrine, and let's make these dormant curses free, I guess. We'll reduce their cost. 1 here, 1 here. And now we've got free dormant curses for the rest of the run. Let's go into the elite encounter. So we've got an Infernal Talon here. He's got close quarters. We've got a couple of dormant curses, and we can just run through them and basically obliterate this guy. So let me show you how that would work. So we got one there. We got a Curse Seeker. That could do 3 points of damage. I've got this other dormant curse here. And finally this one. So dormant curses are your bread and butter for the debuff build. You put them on, you take them off, they do damage. And we're going to level up.
I didn't think it was possible to improve.
So here's where you can get Ring of Clarity. And Ring of Clarity is going to be really good if you have the higher sadisms, if you have bronze columns, you have tetratic bursts. These are these are abilities, sorry, that are really hard to cast. They've got like a high cost. But at the end of the day, if you're running Ring of Clarity, you just throw any old attack and the next card that you cast is going to be free. So the more expensive, the more you're gaining from it. So Ring of Clarity is a really good one to run if you have high expense buffs, debuffs, abilities in general. Mirage is a great one. This is just something that allows you to block a smaller, like let's say that he throws an ace, I can throw these 2 queens and actually win with it. It pairs really well with Radiance because you'll actually deal the extra point of damage. But I'm gonna go with Mistress of Hearts simply because that's gonna let me do a lot of pairing. So like here, for instance, I've already got a pair of 8s. I actually could do a full house right now by just modifying that Jack into a queen. But we're gonna throw a queen at probably this guy here. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do something a little bit tricky. We're gonna throw the conduit here. That already did 1 point of damage, but what we're gonna do now is we're going to wild this into a queen, or the king, sorry, because we had a wild on the heart thanks to our Mistress of Hearts. And that is going to be 8 points of damage all around. So, you know, very powerful. Again, the debuffs are not just there to deal damage. Conduit makes the damage that one entity takes dealt to all entities. So really, really nice. Let's move. I don't know if I want to go for the level up or let's go for an item. Let's see what we get. We'll go up this way and go for an item. We'll increase our max health here after this encounter.
Must be punished.
So we got a couple of dormant curses. I do want to heal up, so I'm going to go ahead and put a Heart's Burden first. And then we're going to hit him with a dormant curse. Just one. And then we'll do dormant curse on this guy. And Eldritch Snap should do it. I don't even need to use that Curse Seeker. So we'll hold on to that. We gain 1 maximum health. That's nice. Now this would be another good place for the conduit, but I don't have one right now. So what I can do is I can do one of these.
I hold your heart in my hand.
And I could... Well, let's just do it. I'm going to Fate Weave this and hit it with a Curse Seeker. So these things have Life Force. Life Force is going to make their offense and defense equal to their current HP. So having hurt those guys as much as I did really does help. I could finish this guy off with this little consumable I got, Bottled Lightning. But I think we can take 1/5 health Cauldron Flame. And this will wild to a 6. So I'm beating that guy with a 6. And this will block with the ace. And so this is what I'm talking about. Like we're gonna be pretty good now that we have the Mistress of Hearts as far as trying to get pairs goes. Now this is a good strategy to know for the Enchantress altogether. I got a low pair here. He's gonna draw 5. Now there's a chance that he's gonna draw a higher pair. He didn't. He just drew 2 2s. But I'm saving Fate Weaving, and I can actually interrupt and hit him with Fate Weaving if he had like drawn, let's say 2 8s or something like that, and Fate Weave one of the 8s off of an 8 and still have my low pair win. So sometimes when you've got a low pair, you want to save your Fate Weaving, throw the low pair, and wait to use Fate Weaving on his hand, on the enemy's hand, to actually break their pairs. So very powerful ability. It's got a lot of ways to use it. All right, so again here we don't yet have a debuff. So this deck is feeling like maybe I'm gonna wanna put in a couple more debuffs, take out a couple of, you know, hit bumps or eldritch snaps or something like that. Let's draw with the Ring of the Fire on. Okay, so we got Conduit. That's going to do us some good. Because what we're going to do is we're going to just throw a little sadism his way. And whim.
I changed my mind.
And so now we'll go ahead and hold Conduit for later. I'm going to let this finish off. We should be able to, yeah, we should be able to beat both of these hands. Yep. And now we can just bring it home with maybe,
I'll tell you when you've won.
well, we can do a full house. Why not? That is going to give us some extra XP. So let's do a full house. Probably didn't need to throw those queens, but you know, why not? Flare points.
Charmed, I'm sure.
And now we're going to try to see how we can work our way into Conduit. So we've got a red. We've got our Nacreous Lens. I'm going to go ahead and use this 3 to put Conduit on there just so that I can start dealing some damage. I'm not going to want to take the debuff off yet. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Curse Seeker and hit bump. And so now he's stunned, so he won't be able to go. That tap right there means that he's stunned. He won't be able to go on his turn. We've got another hit bump here to do the same thing over again. So let's do it. We'll whim this off.
I changed my mind.
So we brought it back to our hand, and this time we're going to do a Dormant Curse to a Conduit. And we'll hit bump again to make sure he doesn't do anything to us next time. I might maybe consider Ring of the Fire on right now, but no, we'll hold on to it. We've got enough cards. We're good. Okay, so I've got a full, or what is this, a straight. So let's go ahead and throw this straight at him. I still have a hit bump, so we're going to use that. And there goes the Conduit. So we're going to go ahead and hit bump. And probably I can just go ahead and Eldritch Snap at this point, but let's wait one more turn.
Now it's
Okay,
my turn.
now we will Eldritch Snap this one right here. Okay, let's see if we can do it all in one turn here. Yep, that should do it. So it's a nice little mixture of attacking and debuffing.
I'm not a
So now,
holder.
Celerity is great if you're going that high card, high attack route, which is one of the things that she's known for, just throwing big hands that they just can't stop. Whim of the Wind is another great one. If you have chosen Sands of Fate at the start, you can actually pick the top card of your deck up by just clicking on it at any point, and you can see if you're going to draw a red or a black, so you know your black or red cards are basically going to deal double damage. But if you go Mistress of Hearts, Diamonds getting Wild Suit is not just going to help you cast spells, it's actually going to turn them into hearts, which give them a wild range. So really nice synergy, and you can just start throwing some massive hands at this point. But I'm going to do this because I want to see if I can kill them all in one round, and I surely can. So there's the power of this build going now. You can put on Conduit, deal massive amounts of damage to the guy with a Conduit, hits everyone. Really satisfying.
I am as the desert breeze.
Now I'm a little hurt, so this time we're going to go with the Heart's Burden, and we will take this off with, let's go Dormant Cursed Eldritch Snap. And that's it. So very powerful combinations there. I can choose to reduce some more costs, but I'm just going to go the consumable route here. And we're going to risk an event. Events are actually not so bad for Leilah. She's got so much control that even if you get something crazy like turning all your cards into spades or something, you can just still use your abilities to wild them. If I could get all of them to turn into diamonds, for instance, that means every card I have would be wild suited as well and would have a wild range of 1. It would be wild. So let's see what I get. So let's start with off with a Dormant Curse. I'm going to want to keep that Dormant Curse because since this deck is a little low on... It hasn't been tuned yet, and so we're a little low on the actual curses, on the debuffs. We're going to want to hold on to them. So Whim is a really good way to do that. And we'll do the same thing here. We don't want this guy to get far. So we will take care of him right off of the bat. And we will put a Dormant Curse on this little guy right here. And we could snap this off. But let's hit bump it.
My wish is your command.
And this will take care of him. And for the giggles, let's use the Bottle Lightning to finish that guy off. And let's see what event we get. Oh, banish diamonds. Okay, well, banishing clubs is okay here. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to banish all the clubs from my deck. Now, normally that's a bad thing. I have a trifoiled shield, and so obviously it's not great. But diamonds are wild suit. So in essence, in this case, it's like I have, at any point I want, a club. So I didn't actually get rid of the clubs. Like I said, Leilah is really good at taking events. I recommend taking events with her. Some decks are pretty rigid. You can't really take events very easily. It's very risky to do so. Okay, so this is going to be an enemy, if you've seen the Hydra before, that's going to summon up a bunch of heads. That's when we're going to want Conduit, but I'm going to want to try to get as many heads in as possible beforehand. So in this turn, we're just going to flat out murder this Hydra. Have them bring in 2 heads. Then we're going to go ahead and just pop Dormant Curse on, and we'll wait for the next turn to take it off. But let's do it this way. I do still have 1 left to heal, so let's do that. Bring it in, bring it in. Okay, so now let's snap this off. Bring in all the heads. I want all the heads in here. And now we do this. Bring in a Conduit and snap it. All right, so we're left with 1 head, and it's tapped currently. They come in tapped. And I don't think that it's going to make it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have a bad feeling for this head making it against the Enchantress in full swing. So this time, we're going to go with... we have a 5-card hand right out the gate. Let's go ahead. And then we're going to Ring of the Fire on to bring back some cards and some new abilities. And we'll just run through this defense cycle. These guys have safe attack. That means they don't take damage when they fail an attack. So now we got that Conduit. I'm definitely going to want to hold on to that Conduit because that is going to be key here in a second. And you just get so many 5-card hands as Leilah once you have this combination going. It's crazy. So this is why we wanted to hold on to Conduit, because we're definitely going to want... This guy has Spell Ward, so it's actually going to be a little bit hard to kill this guy. But we're going to have to wear him down. What I'm going to want to do here is just start doing some hit bumps. Just to start triggering that. We'll do a Ring of the Fire on. We're going to do a Firefly Grenade. And... I kind of just want to hold on to this Conduit here, even though I could take it off and kill these guys. And the reason for that is I have Curse Seeker. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to Nacreous one of these and use it to cast Curse Seeker itself, just to finish that guy off, because I don't like that guy. Giant and Sapping, we don't want to get sapped, so we'll go ahead and block it. And this is always good. This is why we do what we do. We hold on to it, we hit for 7, and that does that. Okay, so we will finish this guy off. and move on to the big boss, Inverness.
Charm.
All right, so you've seen this before. You know that this guy is going to give him critical combat. That means he's going to deal double damage while this crystal is around. But what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to cast this conduit. Actually, let's do it this way. Look, I can try to cast this conduit on Inverness, and if I do that, he's got the chance to resist it. If he resists it, it's going to be a problem. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on this crystal, and then I can hit the crystal with things if I wanted, and I do want that. And I'm going to hit him with a few things here. And that. Okay, so now we've taken care of his critical attack. That means he cannot critical attack us. So that's a much safer place to be, because otherwise Inverness could do you real dirty real fast. Oh, see, and he resists. He can resist any of your abilities. Let's return that to our hands. Get a heal off of that. And let's just put it back on, hopefully.
I hold your heart
Yep.
in my hand.
Okay, now that we have that cooking, we'll draw with fire on, and we're going to try to hit bump him again. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to skip his next turn. My turn again.
You must be
Okay,
punished.
that came off. We're going to try to put another one on him. Let's see if it works. He resisted it. We're going to draw more cards. And this is good. Let's hope it works. It did. Hit bump. He resists. Hit bump 2. Can't resist that. And whim it off.
I changed my mind.
And now we're cooking. Now we're cooking.
I
Back
hold
on.
your heart in my hand.
He resisted it. He's a resistant guy, this one. But he's still stunned, so we're good. We're good. Now we do have a 5-card hand, and at this point, I might just want to start dipping. But let's see if we can put this debuff on him first. And we can. So now we got a 5-card hand. And Curse Seeker. 7 damage. Ring of the Fire on. Bring it all in. Refreshment. Dormant Curse. Ugh. Resisting so much. There we go. And bring us home. That's it. So you can see you get into these combinations, you know, if you tune your deck just right, if you take out a few of those hit bumps, and we'll go look at that real quick once I clear this out. Also, the Enchantress is really, really good at getting things like, look, here's a straight flush, getting all of these great bonuses. These bonuses are going to result in a lot of mana, which is a lot of experience in this game. You can use that to level up other characters. You don't have to level up this character. You're going to get plenty of cards. So when you get good with the Enchantress, she's probably the quickest way to level up. So that's like a little pro tip. If you're looking to get a bunch of experience and cards quick, the best way to do that is to get bonuses while you're doing these long runs. And nobody beats the Enchantress at getting all of those bonuses, which are usually based off poker hands, sometimes going down to 1 HP, things like that. So look at all of the cards that we got. We're probably going to end up getting like 25 cards on this one run, thanks to all of those super bonuses. Look at that we got. And just so you know, I have this option. I know I mentioned this last time, but in case you've missed it, I have this option on, which under game, quick mana vial animations lets you get your levels up quickly. So if you start getting tired of watching that animation, though you can always space bar through it, you can turn that on to make it really, really fast. We're not going to look at the dev settings. You might not have access to that. That's for devs only. But the playing card deck here, you should have traditional. So if you want to change the look of your playing card, use the playing cards that I'm using. That's how you do it. So here's the deck. So one of the things that we noticed was maybe we have a few too many Eldritch Snaps, maybe too many hit bumps. So let's just take maybe 1 hit bump out, 1 Eldritch Snap. Whims are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I really like using those, but maybe we just kind of don't. We want to make sure we're not left with a card with a hand that we can't use. So we got about 9 cards that we could have that if we only had those cards, we wouldn't be able to use them. So this is pushing it. Obviously, it's statistically possible for me to not have a debuff in my hands, but this is starting to be pretty safe. So you tune it how you want to tune it. You can always throw a glamour in there. I can throw some gift bearers in there to make sure that I'm drawing abilities. This is a good one to have because it's going to actually cause an overdraw, which means I can still cycle abilities. I will never get stuck with those abilities. So I can go with new wardrobe. Here I just discard all my abilities, draw 5 new abilities. That's going to be a nice safe thing to do in case I'm building up too much and I don't want to, I can't use it. Or I could just add some other debuffs that are useful, like for instance, Pacify is good. So let me just add the wardrobe. Let's just add wardrobe for now. You can always change this later, or maybe Magic Siphon would be a good one for later on if you're in higher level difficulties. This is kind of like the Eldritch Snap, only it heals you. So that starts being really useful later on when you're taking a lot of damage. So let's look at some cards that you might want to use if you had Ring of Clarity. Prince of Stars is a good one because this is hard to cast. Rebalance is good because this is going to be hard to cast. Deal 3 damage, heal 3 HP. You can definitely use this as a great combination, the Ring of the Jinn, because it's going to add cost to abilities, but it makes you do 2 extra damage with everything. So it's wild. That'll even trigger on your dominance, I'm pretty sure. So you get some pretty crazy combos. You want to take sadisms, red queens. I mean, she's got, look at the sadism here. This one is for sure going to be one that you'd want to take. That's 8 points of damage. Tetratic bursts, like this one here, 6 damage and tap, just straight up. You don't even have to worry about whether they're debuffed or not. You got bronze columns over here, which are good to take as well. Charm is a really good one to take. So here's bronze column, charm, looking at the high level charm. This is a great one to take. So anyway, Ring of Clarity really changes the way that you want to build your deck. You don't want to have a bunch of these 1 card cost kind of abilities. You want to bring in these heavy hitters. We'll leave it at that for now. I think that the debuff Enchantress can be a lot of fun because there's just so many combinations and options there to explore, and you still have the Enchantress throwing those 5-card hands, controlling combat so well, what she does, taking on events really well. So if you haven't tried the Enchantress, she's a little bit daunting at first. She's probably the most complex character to try because you have to learn to really manipulate both hands, the enemy's hand and your hand. But she's a lot of fun once you get going. And I think the debuff build is actually pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward once you get it going. Once you get the right debuffs in your deck, then you can just cycle them through and just constantly deal that little bit of damage to them to wear down the enemy. But lots of specs to try. So let me know in the comments if you have any specs that you'd like me to try, or if you've got decks that you'd want to share. Come onto our Discord and share them. I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description, and I'll see you next time.